Hello everyone, welcome to another stream on the channel, and in today's episode we're going to be looking ahead to the second leg of the Porto vs Stuttgart tie, which currently things are in the balance of Porto, and returning to look ahead to this tie is Travis from FBP Americana. Travis, welcome back.
Thanks. Wish it was under better circumstances, but at least one of us are happy today, I suppose.
Yep. We'll get to that very soon. Let's do a short recap of the weekend's games, starting with Porto. Fantastic win against Moreirense. Certainly our best performance of 2026 so far, and this is a performance that's up there with what we were seeing in the first half of the season. A lot of good confidence. Brilliant goals from Oscar Pietruszewski and William Gomez, and Victor Vroholt, man of the match. Just a great performance all round. And then Stuttgart themselves, they've come off the back of an important win in the league, having beaten Leipzig by 1-0. Not the most flashy of games, but enough was done for Stuttgart to get the result they needed. Any thoughts on Stuttgart's game before we get into the Europa League? And I'm guessing you didn't see any of the Porto game.
No, I don't want to watch Porto ever again, except for this Thursday. The Leipzig game was exactly what the doctor ordered for us. It was much more up and down. It was a tough match, a gritty match in different ways than the Porto match, but the guys held strong. The guys got the result. The guys got a little bit of luck, and we needed those 3 points after Porto, partly to get our confidence up and partly to keep us up in the race for the Champions League or Europa League or however it's going to end. So that was a great 6-pointer for us. And maybe the biggest thing is just give us some confidence going into the match that's coming up on Thursday. That would have been rough losing that one and going to Porto down a goal. But now, hey, you know what? Anything's possible. And that match kind of gave us maybe a little mental edge and mental confidence that we definitely needed.
Yep. The fact that both sides are going into this next game having won, that's gonna, I think, help the occasion. A reflection back onto the previous game, and if this is a draw, I definitely would have taken this, but excellent win, especially seeing as the form on the road in the competition hadn't been so good. Well, it had been very average, but certainly Stuttgart started it the better. When it came to the chances, the chances looked kind of more convincing. And when at the beginning, Boya Sainz had that ambitious shot that went over the corner of the net. I was thinking we're in for a tough game, or at least we could be. But then with Tyrone Moffey getting his second goal in all competitions. Things looked on the up, and then shortly after, left back Zaidu Sanusi intercepts pass for your big centre back, and which then resulted to a counter attack, which then Zaidu Sanusi assists Rodrigo Mora for that second goal, and Stuttgart did fight back. They had some chances. Undav with a good goal. Second half, an okay one overall. Stuttgart did what they could to try and get themselves on level terms. You had the disallowed goal, which Bednarek found himself fortunate to get away with some questionable defending, and also not really any proactive chances, but there were definitely some that were just not clinical enough. Like there was that William Gomez effort in the second half that went off the target, won a few corners, but enough was done for Porto to see out a win away. Travis, what was your takeaway? What were your takeaways from this game?
Yeah, I would exactly what you said. Porto did enough to get out of here with a important win. I agree with you. The first 20 minutes, I thought I DM'd you on the side. I thought the first 20 minutes, Stuttgart was taking it to Porto, had the advantages in this one, and was kind of playing up and down. And then there was a 7 to 10 minute stretch where Porto just capitalized on two bad mistakes. One by Alex Nubel, who was really suffering from the press that you guys were putting on him, and then from Jeff Chabot, who's usually been really reliable. And that's the difference against top teams. And we're pretty new to this European play, and we paid for it. And so we made two mistakes that were ruthlessly punished. And then after that, I thought we got back into it. Got that goal by Dennis, which was just a beautiful goal. He's on fire. And the second half was pretty even. And so I think both teams could have been happy with a draw in this one. I think what it came down to is just you guys were more efficient and more tactical and maybe a bit more cynical in the play than we were. Kind of simple as that. As I DM'd you, I was like, the first 20 minutes was great football. Next 10 minutes was just we made mistakes and you guys captured it. And then the next 60 minutes was a team that is used to playing cynical Europa League football against a team that isn't. And it took Stuttgart a minute to adapt to the tactics that Porto was putting forth. And once we did, I thought we equated ourselves pretty well. But once we did, we were down a goal, and it was just too late to get back into it.
Yeah, that's yeah, indeed. I also forgot to mention that it could have been 2 or 3 at one point. And when I think it was William Gomez that had a one-on-one that got saved for a corner. So I think had he been a bit more ruthless, the tie could have been bleak for Stuttgart, but it's still a doable position from your end, and I think another thing that definitely helped Porto in this game was certainly the substitutions were quite in their favour. In the lineup, Porto had started a midfield three that aren't regular starters. For Farhan has been usually a bench player. Rosario does come in at times, and same with Mora. But I don't exactly know where the lineups are. But still, we had a midfield three that hadn't all played together, and but certainly it made sense from the idea of Stuttgart's energy and how that was going to that could have caused problems to the players that were playing week in and week out. But to bring it back to the substitution factor, being a goal up and being able to bring on Victor Froholt, Alan Varela, like the two usual midfielders, that was massive. And of course, some of the other players got to come on too, who were at least competing, like Dennis Gould, Pepe, even though they haven't been scoring loads lately. And Gabri Vega also came on two for Mora, but things were looking up in that aspect, and I suppose we can now turn the tables on to the second leg, unless you had any other thoughts in regards to the first leg.
No, I think this is one of those classic like political or sports debates where we can both go back and forth and say, you know what, Porto was lucky to get out with the 2-1 result. We were unlucky not to get a 2-2 draw. Or you could say Stuttgart was lucky the score wasn't 3-1 in this one. We had some lineup changes too, where we played Nick Nardi at right back, which was a little concerning for us. We were worried about that a little bit. You could say, we didn't have our midfield in. We had some substitutions that came on late that I think may start Thursday. So I think it was a really equal match. I will agree with you that I'll give the edge to Porto in this one. And I think it was just the experience of playing in these types of games. And I think you and I talked about this last Thursday or Wednesday, that when Stuttgart struggles, we struggle against teams that play tactically, defensively, a bit more gritty. We did struggle against Mainz. We struggled against you guys. And then that Leipzig match, we did a lot better. Could have been some more goals in that one because it was a little bit more free flowing. It was annoying in that first match because Porto was smartly slowing things down, and it took us a minute to adjust to it. So as we move forward, that's something that we have to adjust to if we're going to have any hope in this next match. One goal, though, like you said, there's still that hope.
Yep. And I definitely do feel that we deserved at least some kind of result from this game. We'll look over to the second leg now, and I forgot to mention earlier that if you want some more info on Stuttgart, you can check out our first leg preview, where we have more of a in-depth analysis on Stuttgart as a club and a team. But onto the second leg, and now Porto currently unbeaten and at home in almost all competitions apart from the second main cup competition, where they weren't taking that game so seriously. The big clubs don't take it seriously. It's more for the B tier clubs in that league. But apart from that, currently unbeaten fortress in the league, won at every home game in the Europa League and the Taça de Portugal. Even the games that, as I mentioned, that we drew in the previous stream, Benfica were parking the bus and Sporting CP equalised with a late penalty. But if as a time to break that duck, it's Stuttgart have got to do it now. And I did say that Stuttgart, that I think they've got to win the first leg in order to do it, but this is the situation they find themselves in. And Travis, what are Stuttgart like when their backs are against the wall?
I think you saw it in the second half of the first leg of this match, is that one of the knocks on these guys is they sometimes need to get slapped in the mouth, so to speak, to get into the game. And in the second half, that's definitely what happened. They got into the game, and I thought it was pretty equitable. So this is a team that over there, since they've been promoted, even with Pellegrino Matarazzo, the former coach, they never gave up. They never quit. They fight. And so I imagine that's the exact same thing we'll see here. Is they were very upset with the result against you guys on Thursday. They weren't upset with the officiating. They weren't upset even so much with the players from Porto celebrating in front of the Stuttgart fans, as much as they recognized that they weren't ready for the tactics of playing against you guys. And they've got to do that. And I think they recognize that and they realize that. So I think what you'll see is a club that's going to have a lot of fight, and that may happen literally, where it may be from the get-go a much more aggressive start from Stuttgart than we saw in the other match. The problem for us is sometimes if we get drawn into that, that gets into our heads a little bit, which we saw. So I think you'll see a team that's going to have grit, going to have fight, and it's going to just go to the last 90 minutes in this one, because that's typically what we've seen over the last 5 or 6 years with these guys.
Yeah, that does sound like it will make it a good occasion, and that's definitely the sort of energy that Sergio Conceição would be up for managing, because his Porto teams always had that kind of energy, and we haven't needed to see that too much from this version in a Porto under Farioli, but I think they have certainly demonstrated it at times when they've played their rivals. Now, one thing that did catch my attention, which I think will fall to this tie, Anthony Taylor is refereeing this game. One of the worst from England. And he's even given some bad decisions against Porto in recent Champions League ties. Specifically against Barcelona 2 years ago. But nonetheless,
does he call a tight game or a loose game? Because if he calls a tight game, I like that for Stuttgart. If he calls a loose game, I would say advantage Porto in this one.
So is the loose game?
I'm sorry.
Which one's the heavy whistle blowing?
If he's going to call the heavy whistles, I like it for Stuttgart, is what I should say. If he's going to let it kind of play out, and players can kind of get away with a little bit, I like that for you guys. I historically, we play better when there's a little bit heavier of a whistle.
I think I've seen him closer to being more pragmatic, but I don't think he's like that on a regular basis. So I think it could be a bit of both. I think the way Porto will approach this is that similarly to Stuttgart last weekend, we've got a big game this weekend. Fourth place Braga away, who are currently playing right now in the Europa League. Keeping an eye on that game because Braga didn't play on the weekend. I think being home as well is going to help. But I think that certainly the fact that we got the depth in midfield is also going to help. And I would imagine a balanced approach, somewhere that's kind of a style that allows us to be on top or to have control and like not give too much away. Trying to be good at both ends. What we do often is that, in fact, most of the time when we kick off, you saw this at the beginning. We tend to send almost everyone forward to get to that first chance. That, well, in the case of Stuttgart, that almost turned out badly for us. But I get the sense that we're going to start like that, then drop back once that momentum dies down. Whether it's a goal from a first chance or it goes to the corner. But if that doesn't work, then we'll kind of drop back a bit and be more calculated with our chance creating. And I think maybe player head-to-heads to look out for would perhaps be Stiller and Fofana, because I think they'll probably play the most from both sides in midfield. There's that, and certainly Undav's going to be a key player, for you guys. And him versus Rosario, who having didn't started at the weekend, I think he's got some good advantage with the energy. I've seen that we're crossing the 20-minute mark, so I think this is a good time to go to the lineups. Starting with the home team, Porto. I think Farioli is going to line up with Diogo Costa in goal, Alberto Costa at right back. I have written down Bednarek, but I'm wondering, does he put in Thiago Silva, because Bednarek's played twice in a row and he's got Braga at the weekend. I'm wondering, does Thiago Silva go in? So would certainly say Jakub Kivior will be in left centre back. I'll stick it with Bednarek and Kivior for now, and Zaidu Sanusi, who starting to become the regular left back, having played in the last two games. Midfield three of Fofana, Rosario at defensive midfielder, and Gabri Veiga, who I think will come in having played at the weekend. He does have more defensive attributes than Rodrigo Mora, which I think will suit this game more. Not quite sure who plays on the wings, but I think given that Boya Science attended the press conference, I think he'll be on the left side. And it's between Pepe and William Gomez, who starts on that right side. But despite Pepe starting over the weekend, I'll say he still keeps his place, because even though his finishing hasn't been as good as William Gomez, I think he does offer he can track back well, so I think that could be useful for this game. And if we needed a goal, then William Gomez could be a good fit for that. And Tyrone Moffi scored at the weekend against Stuttgart. Dennis School started on Saturday, so ultimately it's going to be Tyrone Moffi. Travis, who do you think is going to start for Stuttgart?
We were talking about this on our podcast this weekend. We're down a goal, so do we go into this like you guys are going to park the bus and we need to attack and we need to put in kind of faster guys who are ready for a counterattack? So does that mean that Jeff Chabot sits down, who didn't have a great match, and instead somebody like Luka Yaquez, who's faster, goes in? We've played really well with a back three of late of Ramon Hendricks, Luka Yaquez, and Finn Yelch. So I think there's going to be some kind of combination of that. The midfield, I think you absolutely nailed it, is your midfield outplayed our midfield last week. Angelo Stiller didn't have a great match. Otto Karazor didn't have a great match. Those guys have got to step it up. They'll definitely be in the middle. Then it'll probably be Chris Furyk on the one wing. And if Jamie Leveling is healthy, he got pulled out at the 80-minute mark against Leipzig. And I don't know if there's something wrong or if it's just exhaustion. If Jamie's healthy, I think he'll be in. If he's not, I think you might see Maxi Mittelstadt step in on defense, and they'll move Chris and El Canus around. El Canus will be in, Dennis, and I think Demi will be in this one. So I think we'll see some kind of combination like that.
Okay. Now on to predictions. Let's start with you. How do you think this is going to go?
Oof, my heart tells me that the traveling Stuttgart supporters are going to do a great choreo and they're going to do a great job of pumping the boys up. That we'll get an early goal and we'll celebrate in front of your fans, and that will make the place even louder. And we'll hold on for like a 2-1 win and go to penalties, and Lord knows what's going to happen there. My brain tells me it's going to be a 1-0 or 1-1 result for you guys, and we'll get agonizingly close, but we won't be able to get it over the finish line. So my shoestring heart is telling me 2-1 for the good guys. My head is saying 1-1. We looked at the sporting providers on this one, and they've got this one as an even Steven match with you guys having a slight edge, but they see it as kind of a 1-1-0-0. So that's where my brain is at. But hopefully, my heart's beating very fast Thursday because my heart was right and not my brain.
Yeah, fair enough. I do think it's going to be a similar result as to what your head was saying. The fact that the game we don't even need to specifically win. It does kind of lessly firm a win prediction that I might have gone with. I'm thinking it's going to be. I'm thinking a 2-1 win for Porto. I think probably see us score first, Stuttgart score at some point. Then I think we're going to see a competitive game on both ends and Porto score late in the game. So I think it's going to be a close one, and then probably Porto who find a goal when at a less ideal moment for Stuttgart. And but this is definitely going to at least the hardest tie till the semi-finals on our end. But any final thoughts from you, Travis?
I hopefully we're both wrong like we were last week, and this time Stuttgart comes out on top on it. So I expect it to be a exciting, stressful match, probably for us both, and we'll see what happens because it's going to be like you said, this is probably the toughest match on this side of the bracket, or maybe the whole bracket to start. And unfortunately, it's happening now. But no, we'll see. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. I think the guys from both sides are going to bring it. I think the fans from both sides are going to bring it. And it's a 4:00 start here in the States, so that means we can actually watch it. So that hopefully is good news for us.
And by the time this game happens, we will have known whether it's Midtjylland or Nottingham Forest that will be either quarterfinal opponent for whoever gets through from this game. And of course, hopefully we're both in the Champions League next season. And that's pretty much all from me. Remind the viewers where they can find your show.
We're on all the usual podcasts: Apple, Spotify, Riverside. Just plug in About VFB American, and you'll find us. Our only social media is we're on Blue Sky. We do have an Instagram account, but we lost the password, so we're not on there at all. So you can find us on Blue Sky and any of the podcast areas. We usually record Sunday night or Monday night in the States. And we're creeping up on episode 189. And hopefully on Sunday or Monday, we can record a good one if the results go our way tomorrow.
Yep. So check it out where you'll see Travis and the guys talk all things Stuttgart, and it's been good and interesting to check out their content lately, and of course all interactions very much appreciated here. Like, subscribe, comments, and if you're watching on the replay, let us know your thoughts. We've got a good game that coming tomorrow that I'm very much looking forward to, as is Travis, and yep. Remember to follow both of us and hit the like button, and until and I'll also mention that I will be doing the Braga preview most likely on Friday, possibly Saturday. And as of now, I haven't got a guest plan, but and if it stays that way, then it will definitely be Friday. But until then, Forza Porto.